River State is vital to Nigeria's economy. It accounts for 48% of Nigeria's crude oil produced onshore and 100% of its liquefied natural gas export. Now, the region is taking steps to expand other sectors of its economy by providing a perfect environment for business. In this episode of Rivers of Possibilities, we'll take a look at what it takes to do business in River State. I'm Onyi Sunday, and this is Rivers of Possibilities. Although known as Nigeria's oil and gas hub, the gains thereof are yet to be felt by the state. This has left the government with no option but to develop alternatives beyond oil and create jobs for people in River State. To achieve this, certain fundamental issues had to be tackled.
You couldn't walk freely on the streets because you may possibly be raped, and then they will steal whatever you have. They will rob you. They had guns. And we had the plans to take away the guns from the streets, so we tackled that. We tackled the fact that people couldn't build their houses because young boys would appear with guns to stop them from building. We had to tackle that first. We had to take away the delinquent attitude of the youths in the state. And what did we do? We tackled social policing. By social policing, we mean by providing employment opportunities for Rivers people. So when you provided such employment through the creation of infrastructures, we had primary health care centers. We were building about 140 then. I don't know how many they are now. We had primary schools. We've built 500 out of the 750 we wanted to build. We were building roads. We built new power stations. All that created employment. So there were alternatives to crime, and people engaged that. When we decided to do those, we also decided to empower the police. What we mean by empowering is not necessarily giving them money, it's to create an atmosphere by which they can confront criminals. So introduce scholarship for people who will lose their husbands in cause of this attack on insurgency and criminals. We increased their weaponry capacity. And then training, and then allowances. With that, the police and the army could confront these criminals and chase them away.
Ensuring security, however, was not enough to attract investors or keep businesses running. Providing adequate power supply was critical to the survival of businesses.
First and the most critical thing is that the government has identified the critical factors, and one of them is power. And we have invested a lot of money in trying to create a power base for River State that is independent of what's happening nationwide. We have completed the building of a number of power stations, a number of gas turbines, and we have initiated and built, I think, 2 new ones. If you want to do business anywhere, it is important that you ask yourself, where do I source electric power? How do I get access to gas if I need it? And Port Harcourt is actually number 1 in the country today. We may not have been able to harness and distribute all the power, the electric power we've generated, we can generate, but it's clearly a good foundation. We're ahead of the other states in that regard. We have also been looking at and worried about the previous reports of where to do business in Nigeria, and River State Port Harcourt was rated poorly. And we've begun to take steps in that direction. One of the things we've tried to do as a government is to ensure that there is accountability. Ensure that if you put your money here, there are processes that will ensure that your money, if you have arrangement with government, your money doesn't get lost. One of such is the fiscal responsibility law, which will pass very early in this government. We have the Bureau of Public Procurement. We have the Bureau of Public-Private Partnership, all backed up by legal frameworks that ensure that if you invest your money, it is protected.
Multiple and illegal taxation was a major factor crippling businesses in the state, with tax collectors not always implementing the law correctly.
When we came into government, all right, this was in 2007, what we met was a confused state. All right, I will admit that the environment wasn't really conducive for new business entry into River State. We had a whole lot of issues, from youth restiveness to community related issues, to multiple taxation, to hoodlums parading themselves as revenue agents, compelling businesses to pay, multiple taxes and business permits, for business permits. So the first thing we set about was to ensure that we remove all of these obstacles, in the way of business entry into Port Harcourt. And of course, you know that due to the militancy level in the Niger Delta, there was a lot of capital business flight from the state. We needed to address all of these issues so that businesses and captains of industry can feel comfortable to coming back to Rivers State and indeed to Port Harcourt.
So what we have done is to try to make it as transparent as possible. One of the good things that the state has done is to grant autonomy to the board, to the Revenue Service. So it's an autonomous body and has the responsibility of monitoring. So people can easily call us when they have issues. They can call us, because one of the things that is very important is that it has to be clear. People have to understand what it is. You have to be sure that there are laws backing whatever tax anyone is asking of you.
According to the chairperson of River State's Internal Revenue Service, Obele-Oshoko, business owners have a major role to play if the law is to succeed. The agency has embarked on a continuous sensitization campaign to educate business owners on the need to pay their taxes due.
We had a discussion recently, and one of the things that will confirm this, duplication is the issue. When we talk of multiple, it means, because if you're paying for certain services or you're paying for certain things, that one state has collected does not mean you cannot collect, another state cannot. So we need to ensure, one, that it is backed by law. But then, within the states, if it is the same service, we are trying to streamline and narrow it down. So like I said, again, because we are the state administrator, we're able to reach out to the various ministries and agencies to look at and harmonize our position. So it is the harmonization that we are trying to do, harmonization. So where there is conflict, where people are not clear, we bring it together, we have talks with the relevant agencies and come forth with a common position to the taxpayer. So those are the things that we have done to in place. But one of the greatest things is that we have information going out on a daily basis.
The success recorded by the State Internal Revenue Service is reflected in the monthly revenue collected by the state. For the first time in the history of River State, the government achieved internally generated revenue in excess of 9 billion naira in February 2014, a far cry from the monthly 2 billion naira recorded in 2008. To date, the new tax regime of the state government has collected a monthly average of 5 to 6 billion naira.
I'm proud to say that the results are everywhere. Okay, businesses against all odds at first, we're talking of 2007, 2008, started responding to the River State and the Port Harcourt market. Okay, I will say a lot of businesses have also come back in. The existing businesses that were slightly moribund as a result of all of these negative factors that I had mentioned, started bouncing back. The investment, the business community, especially in that Trans-Amadi industrial community, if you talk to them, the captains of industry, they will tell you that they have renewed confidence in the ability of government to contain the situation, and they have experienced less downtime. Okay, they will also tell you, as a result of the laws that we have passed, for instance, it is now an offense in River State for any community person or for any set of youths under whatever guise, under whatever name they want to call themselves, to go and first and foremost block the entrance to any business in the state. It is an offense punishable by law. Okay, we have also created channels for them if they have any grievances to address to address those grievances to in the ministry, in the government there. There's a ministry dedicated to that.
New businesses are also springing up in River State. The Port Harcourt Shopping Mall, a private sector-driven project, is the first of its kind in the state. With retail space already fully committed, the government believes it's further proof that the state is open and ready for business.
You have the Olympia Hotel, concerning which construction work has begun. You have a number of housing estates that are coming up based on PPP arrangements, and the investors are confident that their money is protected. We have also noted that doing business in a lot of states in Nigeria, including River State, is cumbersome for people, and as a result, we have pending before the House of Assembly a bill for the establishment of an Industrial and Investment Promotion Commission. The critical idea there is to ensure that we have a one-stop center where if you want to do business in River State, you do not need to run from Ministry of Lands to Ministry of Urban, from Urban to Ministry of Commerce to Ministry of Health. If, for instance, you want to set up an hospital in Port Harcourt, all you need to do is to approach the Investment Promotion Commission. And right from one desk to the other within one building, you can process your application for land, you can process your application for building permit from Ministry of Urban, you can get your license to operate hospital from the Ministry of Health, and you can register your place of business with the Ministry of Works within one building, and which means they could keep you within a very short timeline. All of them could run contemporaneously, and you can do business rapidly or start your business rapidly.
While River State is a major petroleum producer, agriculture has been identified as a key economic player to create jobs for young people and lure foreign investment. One of the biggest palm oil mills and plantations in the South-South region is located in River State. Abandoned for decades, the 16,000-hectare oil palm plantation has been taken over and revived by Belgian company, the Siat Group. The mill has a capacity to produce 70,000 tons of palm oil, generating employment in the process and empowering local farmers through the state's Outgrower scheme.
So far, we have invested in 2 years' time close to $40 million for the rehabilitation. We are now set to start the planting program. We have a huge nursery at Alele, and from next year on, 2015, we count to plant 1,000 hectares. We still have some spare land. First, we plant the land spare and before we begin the replanting. And we have a planting program for SNL, Siat Nigerian Limited, of 10,000 hectares replanting, 5,000 hectares new planting, expansion, and an integration of rubber, a rubber program of 10,000 hectares nucleus estate, plus I don't know how many hectares of outgrowers, maybe 10, 15, because I'm sure that the people will pick up that program very, very, very well.
An Israeli firm is also currently developing 4 fish farms to produce 3.5 million tons of fish annually. The farms are located in riverine communities in the state to revive the fishing culture of the people, which was relegated to the background owing to oil spills.
Consistently throughout the year, that's what at the end of the day the market needs. When a fisherman goes out fishing, one day he will have a catch, one day he will not have a catch. That's something that is not really on the long run sustainable. But this is really a system that gets industrial. What we have here is a factory of fish, which can produce high quality fish throughout the year and make them available and affordable throughout. And this, in my view, can have a real revolution on impact on the Nigerian consumption of fish, on the Nigerian economy as well. As we speak, Nigeria is spending today many, many millions of dollars on importation of fish, while Nigeria can be with the conditions, with the natural conditions, and making use of the natural resources, Nigeria has the potential to be a big exporter of fish.
Mexican company San Carlos Farms is involved in a 60 to 40% agricultural joint venture with the River State government, developing and managing a 2,000-hectare banana plantation in Ogoni. The project is poised to generate employment in the rural communities. It currently employs 500 youths from communities in Ogoni to work on 250 hectares of the plantation. After the break, we will be talking to owners of businesses that have been in Rivers State for decades. We'll also see what's being done to develop a skilled workforce as the state aims to attract more investors. To stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching Rivers of Possibilities. Now, as the state aims to attract more investors, we're looking at what it takes to do business in Rivers State. Join us as we catch up with some entrepreneurs. Nato Orazurike is the Group Managing Director of Genesis Group. The company runs and owns hotels, restaurants, industrial catering, on and offshore real estate, amongst others. With branches across Nigeria, the 20-year-old business has its headquarters in Port Harcourt, employing 1,500 people in the Rivers State capital. The early 90s for him was an era of opportunities in Rivers State.
At that time, and I still believe up to now, Port Harcourt was bustling with business. It still remains the oil capital of Nigeria. And it provided me then, as a young man, with a lot of opportunities, which were very easy then to harness. And that was actually the driving force. I, at that time, moved around, in a quest to expand my business. I went to Abuja, I went to Lagos, and I went to Port Harcourt. And I found Port Harcourt most welcoming and nice to do business in. And in 1994, I finished the restaurant and moved to Port Harcourt. So I moved my operational base from Enugu to Port Harcourt. Bear in mind, I did my youth service in Lagos, so I had a bit of a taste of the different cities. Okay, then Abuja was still in its infancy. Looking for a nice place with bustling economy, I felt Port Harcourt was the best place to come to. In 1994, it was easy to come into Port Harcourt and set up business, and then you had less intrusion all around with starting your business, and everything was the people, the place, the economy allowed you to thrive. Less competition, of course, but then there was also, a nice huge amount of people to, take your services. At that time, it was also much freer to move around. That was before the unfortunate, incidences that happened in the later, 2000s.
His business, like most others at the time, suffered a setback owing to security issues in the state between 2005 and 2008. While most businesses left the state, a few like Genesis weathered the storm.
Here I would like to commend, and I've always said to the present administration, that they have made it better in the past few years. It did deteriorate to some point when we had huge insecurity in the city, but since then things have again sort of ramped up, and it has to be watched though. We have to keep an eye on that. With improved security, we could see our business bounce back. And that enabled us, from the past 7 years, even now, decide to keep expanding our business and our footprint in Port Harcourt. It reached a stage when things were still really down, and we thought of moving base, we thought of all the different types of things we could do, in terms of diversification. But we're assured, and I thank the present administration, and I hope whoever comes in next will take from there. To maintain security in the city, it will attract investors, it will attract the foreigners to keep the economy going, and it is in the best interest of Rivers State, and it is in the best interest of the country.
MD and CEO of Everyday Group, Charles Dimobi, owns a major chain of retail outlets in Port Harcourt. Originally employed in the maritime sector, he was drawn to do business in Port Harcourt in 1994.
Destiny took me to the supermarket retail business. And eventually, that was sometime in 1994. That was the start of Everyday. And to be honest with you, the success of the business will be attributed to, after God, to the life pattern of the Port Harcourt people, which tends to encourage the retail sector, because the average reverse man takes care of himself, lives well, you know, is not manages his funds particularly to take care of himself, unlike people from other areas, like my area in Anambra State.
For an entrepreneur who started up with financial support from money lenders, family and friends, his business has grown over the years. With 5 retail outlets in Port Harcourt and more across Nigeria, Everyday Group currently employs 450 Nigerians. Although credible financial institutions exist today to aid most businesses, Mr. Dimobi believes most Nigerian banks are not interested in long-term investments.
They are very much interested in what they can get today, tomorrow, okay? They look at it as profit-driven. There's no partnership. What they're looking at, the most they can give you is from 12 months to 18 months to 24 months, and that's it. It's only very few banks that can even give you 36 months to 5 years. And you know, this is something I don't know how to explain to you. It's like choking. It's killing to any business. And I'm not even talking about the interest rate. We're talking about the terms. The terms, because it is the term, the tenor that determines the laxity, the flexibility, the easiness of use of. Most businesses like mine, I'm not bothered about what I owe. I bother about the structure of my debt. That's what is important to a normal enterprise. And these banks are not supportive.
Budding entrepreneurs are usually constrained by capital. To cater to entrepreneurs willing to do business in the state, the government is setting up a 15 billion naira equity fund to be managed by the private sector.
The equity fund is, as it is called, really not a shareholding by the government of Rivers State. It is intended as a fund that you set up to drive as a catalyst for business to go to incubate and grow in Rivers State. Now, if we do not do something before we leave government, you'll find a situation that the gains we have made in these areas will be reversed, because we'll just be where we started off regarding business. The governor had done so well with schools, done so well with the health sector. Now, those are foundational issues. Having now laid the foundation, the time to begin to build the structure is now. But you must start from the substructure. And what he's doing by that is put down the money. If your business plan satisfies the credible Nigerians who are not necessarily Rivers people. There will be Rivers people, there will be credible persons from other parts of Nigeria who will manage that fund. If you meet the criteria, you'll be able to access funds to run and grow your business.
It's one thing to attract and set up businesses, and another to have a skilled workforce to run it. Being in the service subsector, Mr. Dimobi employs more middle and lower skilled workers. This, he says, can be tasking owing to the number of unqualified applicants he has to deal with.
Nigeria today, it's one of the most difficult things that you have to deal with. Starting from, there's nothing like skilled labor as far as I'm concerned in my business. You come in, I train you. It doesn't matter the level of education, because there's no formal, you have to come in to learn what we do, the structures in place. You have to understand why what is done, what way. So because of that, some people come with their masters here, their PhD here, they have this accountant, they chartered accountant. But when you come, the principles you think you learn in school does not apply. You can see it clear, does not apply. So it's difficult. And most importantly, those that leave school, I must tell you that there's a big gap. Those that leave school, if I say 80%, from my experience, 80% of them, I might be right or wrong, but as an employer labor, 80% of them cannot defend 10% of what they say they study in school.
Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of TAF Nigeria Homes, Mustafa Nje, faces a similar problem. Currently building the Gulf Estate in Port Harcourt, most of his labor force are made up of foreigners. He attributes this to social-cultural factors.
Actually, it's historical. I come from the Gambia. And so what applies in the Gambia do apply here. We're all colonized by the British, and it's a system of education actually. The reason why you have the Francophone better trained skillsmen is because they put a lot of attention on skilled labor, which we don't. We put more attention on white-collar jobs. So if you have a kid who's going to school, all you do is you focus on him or her to pick up a white-collar job at the end of his or her education. Whilst in the Francophone, it's different. People are passionate about skills. If you have a kid who's skillful in a certain trade, you encourage him or her and train him or her up. So that's been the problem. We never focused on skilled labor, and that is why we have a shortage of skilled labor within the industry.
Situations like this reinforce the need for vocational institutions to develop a skilled workforce for various sectors of the economy.
The economy has to run in such a way that you create that opportunity for people to acquire skills to be able to service the technology sector. So you have underwater diving, you have underwater welding, you have the normal welding, you have including hair dressing for women and men. What else? They have electronics, you have masonry, you have what Nigerians refer to as POP, plastic of Paris, or plaster of Paris. You have all sorts of vocational training there. So you can employ yourself, you can also service the industry. Because what's wrong with us is that we don't have manpower to service that aspect of our industry, technological development in Nigeria. And the earlier we began to focus on it, the better for us.
To further promote businesses in the state, Rivers State Ministry of Commerce and Industry has published the state's first Yellow Pages directory. This will help visitors and residents identify businesses and their locations in the state. Much is being done to assist big businesses in Rivers State. Well, join us on the next episode of Rivers of Possibilities, where we'll take a look at what's being done to grow small and medium enterprises. I'm Onyi Sunday. Thanks for watching.